We all did. All right, we know Nick did. But I can't even pounce on Nick because we all did.
We.
Wilds had Kawhi Leonard taking his talents to South Beach already. All right? Brandon had absolutely no bass in his voice when he talked about the Clippers last week. No bass whatsoever. It was all treble. All right, so I am not the only one. We all wrote off the Clippers. I must admit, I'd love to claim them again, Jenna, but I can't tell a lie. They showed a degree of mental toughness that after what happened in the bubble last year and after the first 2 games of this series, I just didn't think they had, and I said it. So I got to give them credit. With their backs absolutely against the wall, these guys showed up. And look, the series is not over. I think Luka's got a lot left. Rick Carlisle's a great coach. He will adjust to the adjustments that the Clippers made. And Ty Lue, give him credit. They criticized Doc last year, right? The players, no adjustments. Well, Ty Lue went small, started Nicholas Batum instead of Ivica Zubac, and that was big for the Clippers. So Ty Lue did a great job, but the Mavericks will counter. But that said, the one thing I'll criticize Nick on is Nick shot down the Clippers roster. All right, when everything looked bad, Nick went all in and said they had not a good roster. And we all know their roster is legitimate. They've got everything. They've got size. They can shoot the three. They can shoot free throws. They've got championship pedigree on the players and on the coach. They've got experience. The one question about them was between the ears. That's the question. And maybe this will be a watershed moment. If they come back and win this series down 0-2 going on the road, this could be a watershed moment for them because we all know if the Lakers don't survive Phoenix and the Clippers do survive Dallas, then I think the Clippers are the best team left in the West. So the one question is the clutch, and we'll see. They didn't get tested in the clutch really in these last 2 games. We know they're a bad clutch team. That's the one question remaining in these next 3 games.
I'm surprised if the Lakers get bounced, you wouldn't be saying the Nuggets because they have your beloved all-time great MVP, Nikola Jokic. But we can talk about them another time. They've got their hands full right now with Portland. Listen, I stand by everything I said last week, aside from maybe I was premature in moving them to Seattle, but the rest of it stands. If your big adjustment, and it was a good adjustment, by the way, is starting Reggie Jackson and Nick Batum in a playoff game, then your roster isn't great. Now, what happened in Game 3 was I think Carlisle made a grievous error when the Clippers were free-falling, where he gave Luka his regular rest instead of trying to push a 17-point lead to a 30-point lead and ending the series then. What happened in Game 4 was the Clippers played excellent defense for the first time all series. They were egregious defensively in Games 1, 2, and 3, and Kawhi has been utterly sensational for these 4 games. This is the best playoff basketball we've seen from Kawhi since the second round against the Sixers in 2019, a series that ended in Game 7 with him hitting the walk-off buzzer-beater game winner to move on to the conference finals. But even on Friday, I don't think, myself at least, I don't think Broussard either, was predicting a sweep. And I still think, unless Luka's injury gets substantially worse, I still think the Mavs are going to win this series. I think that while the Mavs were red hot from 3 the first 3 games, Game 4 they were the exact opposite. They were 5 of 30. I think the water will find its level. I don't think they're going to score in the 80s again. And I don't think Kawhi is going to continue 32 points per game on 63% shooting. I think he will cool off a bit. So no, all my criticisms of the Clippers stand, and the fact that we are getting ready to plan the parade with them again because they evened a series where they were the massive favorites going in shows once again our level of accomplishment for the Clippers, and what we say about them is totally skewed. They evened the series at 2 apiece when they were huge favorites going into it. That does not prove that they've overcome demons, does not prove they're the better team, Brandon.
it's obvious that you guys don't listen to me. Because every time we have these discussions, it starts with Jenna, then it trickles down to Chris, it trickles to the Wilds and you. It's like, oh, we all know. I never wavered. I never moved off my point.
That's right.
Now, going back to the first game, they lost to the Mavs, okay? And then the Lakers, they lost to the Suns. We had a question. We had a whole segment around who do you trust more to come back from an 0-2 hole? I chose the Clippers. They end up losing game 2. They're down. Then we had another debate, another discussion. That's where you guys went out. Nick talked about the Clippers need to go on and move the franchise to Seattle. I believe, Chris, you went out there and you said, oh, it's over. It's done. They're done. I said, look, it's going to be extremely hard, but it's not over. That's exactly what I said. And Wilds, you just went over and you just said it's over. It was very simple, very calm. You said it was over. Now, for me, what I said was it comes down to the others.
History.
There was no way the Mavs and the supporting cast was going to stay red hot like that. If you go back to game 1, you go back to game 2, they had 4 or 5 people just red hot. We're talking about Hardaway, Porzingis. We're talking about Finney-Smith. Those boys was red hot. Of course their defense was going to sloppy, but this is a team, okay, Wilds, that was top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense all year. Now, all of a sudden, you see them finally cool off, games 3, game 4, and then you see the others, the supporting cast in L.A., actually step up and do their job. And that was the story all year. If you've been tracking this team, you would have saw that when the bench played well, the other guys outside of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard played well, they win. That is the story. And this whole thing about their mindset, you said this watershed moment, Chris. Well, the watershed moment happened at the beginning of the year because the 2 things that we wanted to see was Kawhi Leonard become a leader. We saw him call out his teammates. Oh, this isn't good enough. We need to do better. We also saw him play back-to-back Wilds. So, look, I'm not going to change my position. The Clippers will win this series.
Yeah, I'll change my position. For me and the Clippers, that's like Clippers in cryptocurrency. When it's going up, I'm like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And when it's down, I'm like, yeah, it makes no sense. It doesn't even exist. What are you talking about? So right now, I'm up here. I'm like, sure. Broussard, buddy, you're a fledgling media mogul, I'm going to call you. You do some speaking. You got a great radio show. You're on several FS1 shows. And I think that you should take some lessons from other big media successes. This weekend, this past week, the Friends reunion. Like, wow, Friends is back. It was a media sensation. You know what people want back? They want Broussard and the Clippers back together. You're right there, buddy. You're right there. You're like, it's a watershed moment. They could go pretty far. And I'll add some fuel to the fire. Remember, 94 Rockets dropped 2 at home, 1-2 on the road, ended up beating the Suns, ended up winning the whole thing. Broussard, for your career, I think it would be good. That's what the fans want. They want Broussard and the Clippers back. Will you give the fans what they want?
Well, Wild, you have been a great PR manager for me this past month, but the closest I'll go, because I don't want to look, Brandon. I'm glad Brandon has brought back the base. You notice how much more confident he is and acting like on Friday he was just. I told y'all, I never wavered. I said all along, I didn't see any of that. All right, now the return of the base. All right, I'm glad, Brandon. Keep it that way. The furthest I'll go, though, Wilds, is as just what I said earlier, and Nick combated it. If the Lakers lose to Phoenix and if the Clippers win this series, the Clippers are still they're the best team remaining in the West. And I would think they would win. Because I've said all along, they're the only team in the West that I think has a chance to be the healthy Lakers team. So if the Clippers advance and the Lakers are hobbled, then the Clippers are looking good for the West. But I don't want to jump on Brandon's parade.
We're getting closer.
He's pounding the drum and all that right now.
Just 2 quick points. And I just want to caution everyone, because this is going to happen on this show and across all shows all day today. We are very, very bad in sports media about acting like the most recent thing that happened is the only thing that's happened. The two teams in Los Angeles are both 2 games apiece in their series. Now, one could say, yeah, but the Clippers have home court. But in that series, the road teams won all 4 games, so it doesn't seem to much matter there. But because what we saw most recently was the Clippers play their best game of the year and the Lakers lose Anthony Davis, the sky's falling in one part of L.A. and the sun's shining in the other part of L.A. I think on Wednesday or Thursday, it's going to look very differently. That's the first point. The second point is this, because Brandon said something that has to be addressed. Brandon, we absolutely do listen to you. I just almost always disagree with you. It's not that I'm not hearing you. I just think you're wrong. So I just want it to be understood. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just like, there's Brandon wrong on the Clippers again. But we'll see. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. I'm just letting you know. You're not being ignored. I don't want you to think you're being ignored, Brandon.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.